Hi guys. So Michael Gove was in Parliament on Monday talking about how badly the Brexit negotiations are going, how important it is for the UK to basically walk away, but he's also leaving the door open for the European Union to change position, to move and eventually come back to the negotiations. So this was interesting because if we look at the timeline, Michael Gove had met in the morning with Maros Sefcovic, who is the Vice President of the European Commission. He's directly under Ursula von der Leyen. And he painted the negotiations in somewhat of a different light. So let's hear what he had to say.
We had very intense, I have to add also constructive meeting with the Chancellor Gove this morning. It was the fourth regular session of the Joint Committee, which I have to underscore once again is the body where we should resolve our differences.
So it's very interesting. He sounds, quite formal in this, but he is, I think, attacking here somewhat Michael Gove and the Brexiteers. Michael Gove and the Brexiteers tend to, and Boris Johnson, of course, tend to blame Michel Barnier when they're talking about how the negotiations are not progressing, blame the EU in general. And Mr. Sefcovic is basically saying, no, this is the body that's responsible for, sorting out these problems, not running off to the media or running to Parliament and telling people in Parliament.
We should look for the common solutions and which is responsible for timely and proper implementation of the withdrawal agreement. And this is what we have been debating this morning. I have to say that we are advancing very well if it comes to the citizens' rights. So I think that after this morning discussion, I think we have a good message for more than 4 million of EU and UK citizens.
So things are moving quite well here. Michael Gove was saying that things are not moving well. So how is it possible that Michael Gove was saying that things are moving terribly when he's talking to Parliament? Remember, in Parliament he can lie to Parliament and there's no punishment for lying to Parliament. But the Vice President of the European Commission is telling us something different. So who is telling the truth here? Is it Michael Gove or is it the Vice President of the European Commission, Mr. Sefcovic? Who's telling the truth and who is telling a lie?
That if it comes to resident schemes and if it comes to their rights, that we are progressing in that way, that they shouldn't worry and that we will be able to deliver on what was promised to them when we've been signing the withdrawal agreement.
Which is interesting, because Boris Johnson and the Brexiteers were saying that we're not going to respect the withdrawal agreement. Michael Gove yesterday was talking on Sky News about how, well, we don't need a deal because we have the withdrawal agreement, which is also interesting.
We, of course, spent quite some time on the proper implementation of the protocol on Ireland and Northern Ireland. There, of course, the situation is much more complex. I think that what we covered today was clearly a demonstration that we can find the solutions in the frame of the Joint Committee if there is the common dedication, if there is political will, and if there is that intensity and intensification added into our discussions on these extremely complex but at the same time very important issues.
It's interesting. Now, he could be playing politics here. He could be saying, look, we're doing our best. If things don't work out, it's the British government's fault. But I don't know if he's doing that because he has laid out what's working. And he said it's very positive at the moment. It's complicated, but we are making great progress. So this is, I would imagine if he's ready to blame the UK for something, he would start off by saying, look, we've been trying, but we're hitting a brick wall. I think it's very important to understand that the Michael Gove that's in Parliament and the Michael Gove that sits down with Mr. Sefcovic is probably a different person. Of course, we don't have cameras inside these negotiations, so we don't know what's happening. We can't see it. But it would be interesting to know what Michael Gove is saying behind closed doors and compare it to what Michael Gove is saying, to the public.
I was explaining once and again that what is crucial for the European Union is the full respect of the Good Friday Belfast Agreement, that we want to do our utmost to make sure that we would maintain peace, but also all island economic prosperity. Therefore, we went to such a great length to define that special conditions in the withdrawal agreement for the Northern Ireland. And I believe that it's our common task to make sure that we will operationalize the withdrawal agreement, and then we find the solutions how this would work as it should.
Now, you have to remember that Boris Johnson and the Tories don't care about the Belfast Agreement or the Good Friday Agreement. They only care about protecting it, not because of people of Northern Ireland or the Republic of Ireland. They don't give a crap about them. They are concerned about losing the possibility of having a trade deal, a free trade deal with the United States. Now, as I've said before on this channel, there's a good possibility, it's not guaranteed, of course, and I don't want to jinx anything, but there's a good possibility that Joe Biden will be the president next year from, I think it's the 20th of January. If the UK want to have a trade deal with the United States, he has said, and his Congress, the leader of Congress, Nancy Pelosi, has said as well, if the Good Friday Agreement is undermined, there will be no trade deal. You're not going to throw Northern Ireland under a bus. If you consider doing that, then you can kiss goodbye to a trade deal. Now, I think even if the UK were to go into negotiations with the United States, they would be hammered in a trade deal. The UK is not in a position to dictate anything to the likes of the United States. So even if the United States did give them a trade deal, it would be terrible. But Joe Biden and the Democrats and also some Republicans who come from Irish descent have said that they would not sign up to any trade deal if Northern Ireland was compromised in any way.
So what we concluded this morning was that we are going to, I would say, redouble of our efforts and work for the solution. So we would have much higher frequency on debating outstanding issues linked with the protocol and with all the issues which the protocol is covering.
Now, this could be just political language. He could just be saying here, look, we're going to double our efforts. We're going to do everything we can because we don't want to be blamed when this thing goes, turns out to be some sort of disaster. You could be cynical and imagine that's what he's saying. But the European Union have said from the beginning, we're going to protect the single market. That's our goal. We're not going to allow anything to undermine the single market. Now, if the UK want to blame us for Brexit being a disaster, we don't care. Our goal is to protect the single market. If the UK want to blame us for the next 100 years, it doesn't make any difference to us. We have our own goals. And I think it still rings through.
And all other outstanding decisions which have to be adopted before the end of the year, just for the completeness of the information, there are such 7 decisions, including, for example, the list of arbitrators, which we need, of course, to approve before the 1st of January of the next year. And the plan is that we would remain in frequent touch with the Chancellor Gove, that we would provide adequate political steer, and that we should see each other by mid-November, because we still need some time to process what I believe would be positive decisions by our respective processes, be it
Okay, and this is something we don't generally hear about. We hear about how the end of October is the cutoff date. Boris Johnson had said the 15th of October is the cutoff date. Of course, that was moved. there are things that are happening behind the scenes that you don't hear about in the media, and this is one of them. This is going to go on for some time. And I've said before that the negotiations will not end in January, or at the end of December, I should say. The transition period is for a certain amount of negotiation. Certain things have to be negotiated during the transition period, but the negotiations will continue after January. Anyone who thinks this isn't the case doesn't understand what's happening
within the EU or in the UK. And of course, if it comes to the internal market bill, I think that you are very informed that we started legal action. We started the infringement procedure on the internal market bill. We consider that controversial articles in breach of withdrawal agreement, I would say in the breach of trust, and therefore we had to proceed with the legal action. At the same time, I want to say that also this morning discussions show that if we put our minds into it, I believe that we can solve the issues in the framework of the Joint Committee, and definitely on the side of the European Union, we are going to do our utmost to achieve that.
Which is interesting. So he's basically said that, yes, we're going to take legal action against you, but we're going to maintain the negotiations at the same time. What does that tell you about the mindset of the European Union when it comes to Boris Johnson making threats? It's basically, you can make whatever threats you want, but we're not frightened by them. We don't believe you're serious. You know, if the EU truly believed that the UK was serious about these threats, it would have stopped the negotiations. It would have stopped the negotiations surrounding the withdrawal agreement. It was said the withdrawal agreement is null and void. You have broken it. But they haven't. Probably because behind closed doors, Michael Gove has given assurances that, look, we've put in this withdrawal agreement, this internal market bill. It's not going to really undermine the withdrawal agreement. It's just for internal UK politics. We're going to remove those as soon as we end the transition period. I don't know what sort of assurances he would give that would guarantee, the European Union trust him. Maybe it's tied to something else. But I'm sure that the European Union are not taking it seriously. But officially they have to, so that's why we have these infringement procedures taking place. So from one perspective, you have Boris Johnson and Michael Gove painting a very dark picture of the negotiations, while on the EU side, it seems to be business as usual. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?